Hello, my name is Tony. Welcome to Edinburgh. How are you all? Hope you're all happy, healthy and well out there. Today we are going to tell you a few things about the world famous Greyfriars Kirkyard that you might not know. Just to point out straight away on arrival, it's full of tours. A tour there, tour there, tour over there. There's lots of Edinburgh tours that will come in here, so if you are interested, there's no shortage of guides that can take you round. But let's just tell you a few little facts that you might or might not know. The most obvious one, and the one I'm not going to do because I've done a whole video on it already, and if you want you can go check that out, I'll leave a link in the description, is Greyfriars Bobby. It's a little statue right there. The story of the dog that stayed by his master's grave for 15 years after his master passed. His master's grave, it's just there. That's it there. John Gray. But I'm not going to do that. You should probably know that one. If you don't, go watch my video or go watch the Disney film, which, you know, Disney did a film about it as well. But let's talk about some other things. So, first up, why is it called Greyfriars Kirkyard? Well, the name is actually very literal. Very, very literal. Now, you'll have to remember that this wasn't in Edinburgh. When this was formed, it wasn't in Edinburgh, even though the Royal Mile is there. It's literally there. It's 500 metres up the road is Greyfriars Kirkyard. But, is the Royal Mile. But this wasn't in Edinburgh, and there used to be monks, friars on this site, quite literally friars. And believe it or not, they wore grey habits. Greyfriars. So that's how that's how this space got its name, Greyfriars Kirkyard, because there used to be monks. That was dissolved in around 1560. So, you know, a fair while ago. But yeah, it's a very literal name. It's a Greyfriars Kirkyard. So, how did it become what it is today? Well, actually, we've got to look at the person that probably gets the blame or tied into most of Scottish history, Mary Queen of Scots. But this time, it's, you know, it's not just Mary Queen of Scots. Drank here once, Mary Queen of Scots. Played golf here. She actually gave the land in 1562 to become a kirkyard, to become a graveyard, because the grave site, the kirkyard at St Giles, was overcrowded. So they needed another site that wasn't too far from the centre of town. And this is not the nicest thing in the world that I read, but I'm going to tell you anyway, so that during the summer there wouldn't be that much of a smell. So that probably means to me that they weren't burying people very deep, for lack of a better, you know. There's no nice way to say that. There is no nice way to say that. So yeah, so it was actually Mary Queen of Scots that set up Greyfriars Kirkyard, which is, you know, a very cool bit of history there. I'm interrupting me to give you me, because if you're going to be in Edinburgh on the October the 19th, Saturday, October 19th, 2024, I'm hosting my first Scottish Memories Live with guests Grant Stott and Jordan Young. I'm going to be interviewing them about growing up in Scotland and obviously memories of working here and Panto and River City and things like that. So if you are in Edinburgh and you've listened to my podcast and you've seen them as guests before, it's going to be a great night. Tickets are on sale now. There's a link in the description. Please come along. It'd be great to see you there. It was also used as a prison, a Covenanters prison in the 1600s. In fact, I think the Declaration of the Covenanters, if I remember exactly rightly, was signed here as well. So it's been a large part of their history from the very start, really. It is a beautiful site, as you can see. It's just steeped in history. It's absolutely full of history, and unfortunately, due to time, you can tell that many stones have been lost. You know, because you can tell that most of this site that I'm standing here right behind the kirk itself there is unfortunately time has ravaged it, and that's kind of what happens. But yeah, it's a beautiful site. But let's continue with the history. in the 18th and 19th century. It wasn't immune to the body snatching that was going on in town. And you can see some remnants of, what do you call it, the prevention that they were trying to do to stop people from, well, robbing their grave. So there's things called Mort Safes, probably sort for mortality safes or mortuary safe, something along those lines. But there's a few examples of what people did in here to stop people from robbing their graves. And here's two of them. Actually, here's three of them. You can see here, this is one of the examples. Essentially a cage, a brick cage over the top here. Let's read this. The iron mort safe was placed over the grave to prevent grave robbers from digging up the body for sale to the anatomy classes in the medical school. Many other measures were taken in the 18th and 19th century to prevent this repulsive trade, which continued until the Anatomy Act was passed in 1832. Restored in 2010 by the Greyfriars Kirkyard Trust with support from the Edinburgh World Heritage. So there's one. They also did this, big heavy stone slabs on top of the graves right there. And just with that group there is another example just there. That's essentially just a cage, as you can see. So it's a dark part of our history, but forgetting the dark part of our history for Edinburgh, it's a big part of history for the world, because at that time, 18th, 19th century, Edinburgh was going through a renaissance, and it was really the work that was done during that period, as grim as it is, on the bodies that were, well, snatched, that helped and set up medical research and science and where we are today with doctors. It was the research and everything that they did on these bodies that just spiked and raced off with what we know about the human body. So it's a dark, morbid part of history that's left a lasting legacy, as well as obviously the story of Birkenhead, which everyone knows. But they never robbed a grave. That was too much like hard work. They just killed people. Also, while we're here, we have this wall right here. This main wall right here. Now, it might just look like a wall and then an extension of the graveyard. However, that is part of the Flodden Wall. Remember, Edinburgh was a gated-in city at one point, and this was part of it. This was part of the Flodden Wall right here. And there's not many parts still standing. Again, I've done a full video where we traced the route of the Flodden Wall, and again, I will leave a link in the description down below. But this right here is the Flodden Wall. This is essentially the barrier of the city way back when. Now, let's go a little bit more modern. Another well-known fact about this kirkyard, graveyard, was the names that were borrowed that inspired characters in the Harry Potter series. Back there is incredibly popular because there is the grave of Tom Riddle. Actually, Tom Riddle and Tom Riddle Esquire. It'll be really busy. We'll have a peer in the corner, but it's really busy. I'm not going to go down, but it's down there and to the right. Let's have a look, see how busy it is. So once you come into this section, you go down here, you can already see all the crowds. Just down here is Tom Riddle's grave. Actually, they've built a route now. This got really bad. It got really muddy. They've actually built a path now. There it is, over there. I'm not going to go down. Look at the crowds. Just look at the grave. But that there, on the wall, was an inconspicuous grave at one point. It's just a grave. And now, it's a pilgrimage for Harry Potter fans. However, while we're in this area as well, you'll notice things like this. How here, it's quite obvious that there was fences. You can see better on this one right here. See this? Now, don't quote me. I don't know if this is what happened to these ones, but you will see a lot of areas in Edinburgh with bits like that, where there obviously was a fence of some sort and it's been cut down. I don't know if that's what happened in here. I don't know if it's what happened here, but a lot of those are because the iron, the metal, was cut down and used during the war, during World War II, I think. it was, you know, it was a grandiose thing that there was a higher cause at the time, so it was all cut down and used for the war. There's not just Voldemort though, Tom Riddle, you can see here as well. There's a McGonagall here as well, and now there's a path to it, so there are various names. And not only is there a McGonagall, there's a Moody, obviously, so that's, you know, McGonagall and Moody, two of the teachers at Hogwarts and things. So there's lots of inspiration, apparently, for Harry Potter in here. Why wouldn't there be, you know? Because it's a beautiful spot, with inspired the world in many, many ways by the looks of it. Now that's just a few little facts for you there. A few little, there's more. I might do another one, because this graveyard is full of history. It's full of stories, it's full of characters. But we'll leave it there for just now, so hopefully you've enjoyed that. Hopefully you've enjoyed these little things that you might not know about Greyfriars Kirkyard. If you have, please remember, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe if you haven't already. But, till next time, bye humans.